We're learning new details about an eastern Kentucky carjacking that left a woman dead. Michael Edwards is accused of stealing Tracy Clemens' truck in Annville in Jackson County.
A sheriff's deputy testified about what took place. WKYT's Phil Pendleton was in the courtroom.
Michael Edwards is facing about 8 different charges from a series of events that started at the T-Mart in Annville here in Jackson County that ultimately led to the death of Tracy Clemens when she tried to grab onto the truck that Edwards is accused of carjacking. Now, Deputy Jason Weaver said he was dispatched to the T-Mart in Annville after those events that began just before 10 o'clock that Saturday morning. Initially, it was called out as a hit and run to be on the lookout for a blue Chevrolet Silverado. There was also a woman unresponsive but breathing at the scene of where this began. There was a report of a man and a woman fighting before he took off with the truck. Then it was later learned that Clemens had tried to stop the carjacking when she was killed.
Trouble was seen, and Mr. Edwards floors the vehicle, runs off violently. Tracy Clemens cannot hold on any farther, and she subsequently drops to the ground at the exact time that the driver's side rear tire runs over.
Deputy Weaver also testified that later in the day that Edwards tried to hold another woman at gunpoint before stealing some clothes from a clothesline, that he had to be tackled to the ground by a London City police officer. A judge did find probable cause. The case is now being held over to a grand jury for a possible indictment. In Jackson County, Phil Pendleton, WKYT.